Hello everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I want to kick things off by asking you a slightly unsettling question. What if a lot of the decisions you think you made completely freely over the past week or even the past year were actually influenced in ways you didn't even notice? Now, I'm not talking about anything crazy like mind control or big conspiracy theories. I'm talking about something far more subtle and honestly, far more common. In this explainer, we are going to unpack the invisible cycles of manipulation that happen right under our noses every single day.
Come on, we've all been there, right? You're having what seems like a perfectly normal conversation, and suddenly, for no obvious reason, your confidence just completely tanks. You walk away from the interaction, and later, when you're replaying the whole thing in your head, you catch yourself wondering, wait, why did I react like that?
Or how about that super confusing moment when someone says just a single sentence to you, and instantly you feel this massive wave of guilt? You find yourself stepping up and taking responsibility for something that, logically, wasn't even yours to carry. You walk away scratching your head thinking, why in the world did I just apologize for that?
Or maybe you actually set a boundary. You made up your mind, but after a brief little chat, you completely cave under the pressure. And here is the truly fascinating part about all of this. In the moment, making that concession feels completely normal. You don't fight it, you don't question it, you just naturally respond, adjust, and agree. And that is exactly what makes subtle manipulation so incredibly powerful. It blends right into our everyday, normal interactions.
Section 1. The core mechanism. Emotional override.
Okay, let's dive into this. It's a huge misconception to think that manipulation only happens to people who aren't smart, or that it always comes from some maliciously bad person. That's just not true. More often than not, it's about bypassing your logic entirely. When someone uses subtle manipulation, they are usually just activating specific emotional triggers. Things like confusion, guilt, fear, obligation, and attachment. When these triggers get hit hard enough, your logical brain gets real quiet, and pure, raw reaction just takes the wheel.
Section 2. Distorting your reality.
That brings us to our first category of invisible weapons. These are tactics specifically designed to make you doubt your own mind, your own memory, and your own baseline sense of what is real. Gaslighting is absolutely one of the most destabilizing manipulation techniques out there, specifically because it targets something fundamental: your trust in your own perception. It's literally the process of replacing your own internal certainty with a heavy external dependence on someone else's version of reality.
And what makes this so incredibly dangerous is how casually it's done. The phrasing is so utterly common. Oh, you're remembering it wrong. That literally never happened. You're being dramatic again. At first, these just sound like normal disagreements. But over time, that repetition creates a really deep confusion. You start replaying conversations over and over, doubting your own memory, until eventually you rely more on their version of events than your own.
So, how do we actually stop this? First, you have to stop trying to resolve reality in the middle of a conflict. Emotional arguments are just not reliable places to find clarity. Second, start looking at the patterns. Ask yourself, do you always feel confused after talking to this specific person? And third, separate perception from permission. Listen, someone can completely disagree with your experience, but that does not magically invalidate it. Your experience happened to you, whether they give you permission to feel it or not.
And this brilliantly illustrates another way your reality gets distorted: projecting. This happens when someone takes their own emotions, behaviors, or flaws and just tosses them right onto you. A controlling person will accuse you of being controlling. A dishonest person will accuse you of lying. It creates intense confusion because the accusation feels so deeply personal, but in reality, they're just showing you their own internal state. To break free from this one, you have to step back, refuse to internalize the accusation, and logically ask yourself if there's any actual evidence for their claim or if it's just pure displacement.
Section 3. The pressure valve.
This category is where someone uses emotional weight, or honestly, sometimes the complete and utter absence of emotion, to essentially force you into compliance. The most common tactic here? Guilt tripping. This is when someone applies heavy emotional pressure instead of just communicating clearly about what they actually want. It is an incredibly effective way to shift your focus entirely away from what is fair or what you might want and force you to focus 100% on fixing the other person's hurt feelings.
You hear things like, after everything I've done for you, or, well, I guess I just don't matter to you. The crucial takeaway here is that these statements are perfectly designed to extract compliance, just so you can relieve your own emotional discomfort. You aren't agreeing because it's the right thing to do, you are agreeing just to stop feeling bad.
To break free, you need to hit pause and ask yourself, am I choosing this freely right now, or am I just desperately trying to escape this guilt? Because healthy relationships rely on clear communication, not emotional debt.
Another classic tactic in this category is the silent treatment. Now, while a healthy connection addresses problems through open communication, the silent treatment is the exact opposite. It's the intentional withdrawal of communication purely to create emotional discomfort. No replies, no explanation, just nothing. Because we humans are literally wired to resolve social conflict, this sudden silence creates massive anxiety. You might actually find yourself apologizing just to get them to talk to you again. But remember this, someone else's silence is not automatically your responsibility to resolve. Set a boundary, allow the space, and absolutely refuse to chase their avoidance.
Section 4. The dependency loop. This final category relies on unpredictable rewards and shifting finish lines to create profoundly unhealthy attachments. Take love bombing, for example. We know that healthy emotional connection develops through consistency, time, and shared experiences. Love bombing, however, that relies on intense speed. We're talking constant messaging, intense over-the-top compliments, and immediate claims of some super deep connection. Look, it feels really flattering at first, but the extreme danger here is creating emotional intensity much faster than actual trust is built. To break out of this, you have to intentionally slow the emotional pace way down. Watch and see if their behavior is actually consistent over a long period of time.
Then we have moving the goalposts. Have you ever felt like you finally solved one issue for someone, and literally seconds later another one appears? You improve, you do exactly what they ask, but it's never quite acknowledged as enough? This tactic involves constantly changing expectations so that your progress is never fully recognized. It creates this feeling of perpetual incompletion. It is absolute exhaustion, as you're forced to chase an ever-moving target of approval, constantly thinking, man, if I just try a little bit harder, I'll finally be enough. Whenever you feel caught in that exhausting, never-ending cycle, you need to establish a very grounding internal boundary. Simply ask yourself, what exactly would enough look like here? If the answer from the other person keeps miraculously changing, or if it's just never clearly defined to begin with, then you are playing in a system that isn't actually designed for you to win. It's not designed for completion, and all the effort in the world cannot solve a constantly moving target.
The final tactic we're looking at in the dependency loop is hot and cold behavior. One moment, they're giving you incredible warmth, attention, and closeness. The very next moment, inexplicable distance and cold withdrawal. This totally unpredictable swing makes your brain hyper-focus on regaining that positive, warm version of them. Honestly, it's the exact same psychology that makes slot machines so addictive. Unpredictable rewards create significantly stronger behavioral attachments than consistent ones. It's wild. To protect yourself, you absolutely must prioritize consistent emotional safety over those intense, unpredictable spikes of affection.
Let's move to Section 5 and see how this all builds together. The shield of awareness. So what is the ultimate antidote to all of these invisible, sneaky tactics we've just uncovered? It's simple. Awareness breaks automatic control. Manipulation doesn't succeed because people lack intelligence, not at all. It succeeds because these emotional patterns are invisible while they are happening to you. But once you can actually spot these patterns in real time, your entire reaction changes. You stop reacting automatically. You start observing before you respond. You start making choices based on pure clarity rather than just reacting to emotional pressure. You don't have to become some cold or suspicious person. You literally just have to be aware. Which leaves us with one